Hello, everyone. It's Brenda Miller from Stampin' Up. I'm Stampin' Up Demonstrator in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and I go live every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time to show you what I've been working on, what's on my desk, some current trends, that kind of thing. So today's no exception. Today I have for you something called a shutter card, and I'm very excited to share it with you. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to flip over to my desktop and you can see the card we're going to create. Now, let me tell you a few things about this card. First, it's called a shutter card. Do you know why? Well, I'll tell you this. I didn't. And I kept looking at them and saying, I don't get it. Shutter. I kept thinking, shutters on a house. I don't know why, but if you look at it and you see that we have these lines going around the outside and it looks like a camera shutter, right? Once I realized that, now I can't unsee it. And of course, it's very obvious to me. But when I first started seeing these cards online, I was very confused, as you can imagine. But now we all know that that's why it's called a shutter card, and it makes so much sense. But it looks very complicated, but it's really not. And I can't wait to show you how you can make this yourself. This particular card is actually a reject from my upcoming holiday card class, Christmas cards. I felt like it didn't look Christmassy enough, and so my extravaganza is going to include a shutter card. It just will be with different designer series paper. But again, I love this card. It just wasn't Christmassy enough for what I was trying to accomplish. So let me show you how I made it. We start with a piece of basic white cardstock, and this measures 4 by 5 1/4, and it's the same size as would go on the inside of a card. So actually, let's do that first. Let's go ahead and get our card base out, and we'll put this aside. This is Moody Mauve, so it's one of the new in colors. And we're going to just put this on the inside, and we'll just use my Stampin' Seal to do that very quickly. As I always say, I like to do this. First of all, I put white on the inside of my cards so that when we go to write in them, you can really see, regardless of the color ink that you're using. But then I also like to put it aside just so that I don't get it all messed up. Now we're going to start with another piece of the basic white cardstock, and we're going to take a piece of basic white cardstock again and die cut out a square. This square can be any size, but the square I used was the third largest or third smallest from the, this is the Stylish Shapes Dies collection. Okay, so it's the third one, no matter which way you look at it. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our sentiment on there. And so the class that I'm creating is, we're going to make 10 different Christmas cards, actually 20. We're going to make 2 of each. 2 of each, and all are designed to use the different sentiments in this Brightest Glow stamp set. And I'm mentioning this because when it's offered, it's something that you can purchase the stamp set if you don't already have it, or you could just use your own Christmas stamps. There are plenty of them that'll fit in the various different labels. And this one is just a square. So I'm going to just use the 'Tis the Season from this stamp set. So we've got that, and I just have to grab my ink pad, unbelievably. Always something. And in this case, I'm going to use Misty Moonlight. And we're just going to ink that up, stamp the center of this square. Okay, so we have our message, and we're going to adhere this wherever we would like it to be on our card. I'm just going to use one dimensional for now, and the rest of the card will be built around this. So it's pretty much in the center, maybe a little bit higher. And of course, I meant to do it on a diagonal. So let's pretend that I did it on a diagonal. I stamped it on a diagonal. Unbelievable, right? Always something when you're in a class with me. But you'll still get the the whole idea behind the card, and we can fix that up later. Okay, so now we're going to take some designer series paper. Now these are 2 sheets, 2 of the designs from the Winter Meadow collection, DSP, and this is on page 37 of the mini catalog, and you can see it has all these very pretty designs, and I'll show you some more cards. This is part of the Winter Meadow suite. So you can see how pretty this paper is, and we're just going to use 2 of them. These are some berries or pomegranates. If you know what they are, please, let me know. Hey Sharon, nice to see you. If you can just put that in the chat, that would be great, because we couldn't figure out what they were. We were talking about these last night. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to take some strips of paper. Now you can see on my card that I made, I used the Midnight Muse strips. But for this card, I'm going to try it with the Moody Mauve, just because I want to see what it looks like when we do that. Now remember, this is supposed to be stamped straight, but we're going to take these strips. Now, if you look at it, these don't go end to end. In order to get the shutter effect, they're going to meet up with each other. Okay, so let me show you how we're going to do that. I'm just going to start. You got to pick one to start, and I'm actually going to use, because I don't think I've used this in class before, but this is the fine tip glue that we have, glue pen, and you'll see it's exactly what it says. It has a very fine tip, and the difference between this and really it works just as well as our Armano multi liquid glue. But I thought we would try this. So what I'm going to do is just take this and put a thin line, trying to keep it straight, from one corner, I meant to come out at the corner, there we go, to the end. And I'm going to take my strip, and it's going to go off the end, and that's okay. And if I just push down, I'm going to lay the strip a butt right next to the square. Okay, I'm going to hold it down for a second just to make sure it sticks, and then I'm going to do the next one. Okay, so now we're going to take, oops, see, I glued it down a little bit. I got it underneath there. I didn't really mean to do that. Let's just fix that a little bit. It's really not hard. I'm just making it harder than it has to be, as always. Okay, so we've got that down. Now I'm going to take the glue again, and I'm going to lay, oopsie, sometimes you get a bubble out of there, and I'm going to lay down this strip. I like the idea that this glue is clear and it has that very fine point. I tend to get a little less seepage, although I didn't right here because I got that bubble before. But as you can see, I'm laying it down. It just butts up right against the other one, and it goes off the edge. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to take the glue again and lay it down. And you can see I'm not going, trying to go straight, but I'm shaking there. Hard to do a little bit with the camera right overhead. So I'm going to lay this down, laying it a butt, and pretty close there. That happened to go to the corner. I don't always get so lucky, and that's okay. And then we're going to take our last one, and I'm just going to turn this so I can, because I'm right-handed, it's just a little easier for me. I'm going to pull the glue this way, and now we've created our shutter. Okay, so it's just a matter of filling in the designer series paper around it. Now you can, ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to cut the edges off, but I'm going to just leave it for now, and we'll do some cutting in a second. So now we're going to fill in these gaps. Now you can use any paper that you want, but again, I chose to do this. And now I'm going to lay down my paper. You know what? I think I'll continue to use the wet glue. And I'm just going to make a triangle. Now you can see I don't really need to use the fine tip on this because I'm not trying to get a very fine area. but I'm going to take my bigger piece of designer series paper. Now these are just slightly different sizes just to reduce waste. This piece happens to be 3 inches by 4 3/4. Okay, and then this piece is the next piece we're going to use, and this piece is only 3 by 4, so 3/4 of an inch less. And we're going to go ahead and lay that. So it's like putting together a puzzle, right? That's all it is. So we're going to get that in there. I'm going to give it a second to dry, and I'm going to wipe up any extra I get. Now the one nice part about using the darker color is that it didn't show as much, but there we go. So we've got that. So now what I'm going to do, there are 2 ways to cut this. The first is you can take your paper snips, and a lot of times I prefer to do it this way because I'm just going to cut right to the edge of the paper. And again, sometimes I like to do this because it is very forgiving and I can turn the paper really easily, but I don't always get it as straight as I would like, although I did a pretty good job there. So the other way to do it is to take your paper cutter, and you can line it up into your paper cutter. Now again, when you have a little bit of extra glue hanging around, it can get a little tricky because it might get stuck, but if you're mostly dry, you can go ahead and cut off the excess, and that gives you a nice straight line. And maybe I could have gone over it another time. The designer series paper cuts more easily. Actually, I should put it back in. I'll do it again. Let's see where I'm at here. Just want to make sure I'm in the same spot. And if you remember, I'm going to move it over just a tad. I want to be able to get there. There we go. So we have 2 cutting blades on our 2 blades on our paper cutter, and this is for cutting. The lighter one is for scoring. So then you can be sure to get a really nice cut. But for the sake of television, I'm going to just use my scissors from here. Okay, so now we're going to take some of the paper that we have left. Now we have these 2 pieces, and we're going to put this one in here again. Let's see. I'm just going to use the adhesive again and glue it into place. And I have a nice corner to work with, so going one corner to another, get it right in there. And again, the wet glue is really helpful for this because you can make sure that you can maneuver it just a little bit. And then we'll do the same thing on the last piece, and then we're just going to go back and cut it again. Okay, and I'm going to slide that right in so that we have now our pieces in, and we're going to go ahead and cut off the rest. So again, you could be using the paper cutter, and I'm just using my scissors because with the camera the way I have it, it's a little bit harder for me to cut. And again, if you want to wait a few more seconds than I'm waiting for it to dry, it's probably a good idea if you have any excess glue coming out, just to make sure everything doesn't get all over the place. But I don't have too much left over. Okay, so we're just about done here. And there we have it. So remember, this is supposed to be straight, not the square, but the wording was supposed to go straight across. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put this on the card front. All right, and to do that, I'm just going to use my regular adhesive again, coming back in, putting this on. And just so you know, I will fix this. I just have to die cut another square in order to do that. And I'll put it right over. I'll peel this off and put it right over. Thankfully, I only put the one under there. And for the finishing touch on this card, I am using the Festive Pearls. Okay, and the Festive Pearls have 4 different colors. And if you take this class that I've been get a full package of these in your kit. And it looks like there we go, my camera's coming back here. Not sure why that happened. Let's go back over to my desk. Come on. Okay, and I'm going to actually use the silver ones on here. I am going to put 2 down here, and then I'm not going to put the one on here, but you'll see that it has one right on there. But again, I'm going to replace my inside label. I just don't want to waste the time to do that right now. So what do you think? Do you like it better? I mean, remember, this is going to get fixed, but do you like it better with the Misty Moonlight or the Moody Mauve for the lines? I'd love to hear what you think, but either way, I think this is a really pretty card. And see how easy it was to make what's called a shutter card? I will tell you that these shutter cards are very popular right now. A lot of people are making them. You see them online. And one of the things that you can do also is make a faux shutter card. And the way you would do that is, instead of using putting the square down and then putting the stripes and then adding your DSP, you could use one sheet of DSP, lay it down, put your square in the center, and then put lines on afterwards. And it's the only difference is that all 4 pieces will be the same. Okay, so that is what's called a faux shutter card. So it looks like it's you did something fancy, but you really didn't. You cheated a little bit. So anyway, but this is a regular shutter card, and again, we'll be featuring a card like this, just with different designer series paper in my Christmas extravaganza class. I'm very excited to talk about that. Starting, it'll be ready for October 15th, but we'll be making 20 cards, 2 each of 10 different designs, all Christmas, using almost all of our designer series papers that we offer. Each card is different, but again, they all use the Brightest Glow, right here, Brightest Glow stamp set. So if this is something you already have, you just need to buy the kit, or if you have a bunch of sentiments from different stamp sets, you could just use those in order to stamp. And the class is going to be $50, which is breaks down to $2.50 a card, which is what I charge for all my cards that I do, my card classes. And it will include, you'll get the kits, and you'll get access to videos for each of the cards, as well as a written PDF for each card. And I definitely think it's a great deal. I've already got a whole bunch of people signed up, and I hope you would consider signing up as well. So look for more of that on my email. If you would like to if you'd like to see my emails, my newsletter, my email newsletters, you can sign up for that at brendamillersu.com, and that'll add you to my email list. And I've got a lot of exciting things coming up, so I hope you do. But thank you for joining me today, and we will see you the next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.